All right, Shalom. Shalom. I want to start by giving our praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and also to their elders, the men that taught them. I pray the Lord have peace, blessings, and mercy upon the households of the hopeful elect. This is the brother Shema One from the Great Millstone Houston Church. And real quick, I want to come with a lesson. Just going into how it's not looking good for you Americans. You know, the time of living it up, the time of joy and mirth, and just, you know, playing and folly. That's coming to an end where now a lot of Americans are noticing a change in this place. You know, and it's not a change of better. It's not a change of comfort and peace. No, it's going the complete opposite, you know, of what you've been told, what you've been expecting. Where a lot of people are going to be out here lost without the answers, not knowing what to do because they won't have the solution, which is Yahweh Shai ultimately. But as you can see in the title of this video, it says everyone is starting to see what's happening in America, and it's making people angry. Yeah, because the wicked are bearing ruling, so the people are mourning. All right, because the righteous are not in authority. But it's beautiful because we're witnessing the downfall of America. You know, we're in the times of that change coming, whereas now the people are feeling it out here. All right. So real quick, I just want to read a little bit of Isaiah 24:17. And, you know, watching that video made me think, you know, how it is and how it's going to constantly get worse. But real quick, Isaiah chapter 24:17 in the NLT. And I'll paste the video in the comment section, Lord willing. But it reads in the NLT, terror and traps and snares will be your lot, you people of the earth. And if you read up at verse 10, it tells you the city of confusion is broken down. You know, Babylon the Great being the city of confusion, which is America. But we're in the stages of it being broken down, where it's going to lead to a physical judgment, you know, where this place is going to get touched by nuclear weapons in the judgment of the Lord and the holy angels. But right now, you know, this is us living in America, which is on its way, you know, on its downfall, on its decline. You know, we're starting to feel it. Even Americans who, you know, who live so comfortably, now they're starting to see a change, and it's beautiful. All right, because although we're in this lower state, in this you know, this condition, we got hope. You know, we understand prophecy. We understand the mysteries and the secrets of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, where we know the solution. You know, we have a solution to this problem. And that's where our faith lies, with Yahweh Shai. Real quick, it made me think about, hold on, let me find it. It's in Joel. I was reading it the other day. Because we know the end all be all. This place is going out by nuclear destruction. But before that takes place, the hour of temptation has to come. You know, the setup is in place. But real quick, let me read this in Joel. Real quick. If I could find it. Let me go on my phone. Joel, the 3rd chapter. Right here. This is Joel chapter 3 and 16. It says, the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. That's what I was thinking of. How the Lord will be the hope of his people. Hey, because if you read up, matter of fact, let's just read up, because this is how America is going out. Let's start at verse 9. Joel chapter 3 and 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. And this is what the Lord is literally doing right now. You know, people want to focus on Israelite crime, black on black crime, and just how negative and troublemaking, and just how much there's no peace amongst the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Which is true. We're under the curses. But at the same time, in this time, the Lord is gathering the nations, these heathen nations, and preparing them for war. You know, where it's going to be a separation. What the Lord is doing, it's amazing, because this is all a part of our way out. These heathen have to come against each other. You know, a nation has to come against its own nation. Like, you can see the division amongst these Edomites. And it's beautiful because it won't stand. But this is the Lord doing this, where they're prepared for war now. So verse 10, it says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. So agricultural and farming tools and instruments, that's no longer the focus. It's time for fighting. It's time for war. All right. Then it says, let the weak say I am strong. Yeah, these weaker nations that didn't have any type of military dominance or any type of effect like that, especially compared to America. Now, hey, the Lord put it in them to put them on a level where now they actually can fight back. You know, that fear and that bully, or the fear that America put in these, you know, weaker nations, you know, by bullying them and abusing them. Now the Lord got the spirit in these heathens to stand up and to actually be able to fight against Babylon the Great. Where now the bully don't seem so fucking strong no more. All right. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. All right. And the place where the Lord is gathering these heathen is in the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right. The Lord is gathering these nations to a designated area where they're going to get their judgment. Okay. And it's beautiful because you can't make it up. This was written way before, you know, way before. Now you're seeing it played out. Now you're seeing it playing out. All right. Then it says thither. So there cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. And the mighty ones are the angels. Okay. Yahushua is going to appear with the mighty angels in the midst of this war, where it's going to be one realm fighting against another. It tells you that in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter. But it says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew means Yahweh Shaphat, which means the Lord's judgment, Yahweh's judgment. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The vats overflow, for their wickedness is great. And guess what? It's time. You know, real quick. Let me see what it says in a different translation. Hey, now it's time to reap. In the NLT, it says, swing the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, tread the grapes, for the winepress is full. It says, the storage vats are overflowing with the wickedness of these people. And guess what? The wickedness of these people has been fulfilled, where now it's time for judgment. You know, everybody who continue to live such a wicked and rebellious way of life that's not pleasing to the Heavenly Father, the Lord is gonna be justified. All right. Although the truth has been hidden for ages and generations, yet the Lord is coming back to judge. Okay. And heathen are not going to escape the Lord's judgment. But that's how it is for the fate of Babylon the Great. All right. These heathen are going to come up against America, these other nations, and it's going to be a time like never before. But let me go back to Isaiah chapter 24. Let me go back to the NLT. Isaiah chapter 24 and 17. It says, terror and traps and snares will be your lot, you people of the earth. It says, those who flee in terror will fall into a trap, and those who escape the trap will be caught in a snare. Destruction falls like rain from the heavens. The foundations of the earth shake. And that's due to those nuclear missiles. But before that, this how it's going to be, how it said, terror and traps and snares will be your lot, you people of the earth. Those who flee in terror will fall into a trap. That's whenever it's going to be a benefit of having this truth. Because a lot of people are going to be, unstable. A lot of people are not going to know what to do, what moves to make. Real quick, what am I thinking of? 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter. 2nd Ezra chapter 5 in verse 9 real quick. In the GNT it says, fresh water will become salty. Friends everywhere will attack one another. Then understanding will disappear and reason will go into hiding. And they will not be able, and it says, and they will not be found even through Salakia. Verse 10 again. And they will not be found even though many may look for them. Everywhere on earth, wickedness and violence will increase. One country will ask a neighboring country if justice or anyone who does right has come that way, but their answer will always be no. At that time, people will hope for much, but will get nothing. They will work hard, but will never succeed anything. And that's how it's going to be. So how did it say? In verse 18, those who flee in terror will fall into a trap because they won't know what to do. Like I said, flee in terror, making hasty moves, hasty decisions due to lack of knowledge, due to lack of faith. All right. Because there's a difference. Where is that in Sirach? Hold on, I'm done with that. Real quick. Sirach, I believe 22. Sirach 22 and 16 in the GNT. It says a wooden beam can be put into a building so firmly that an earthquake cannot shake it loose. A person can be trained to use reason and good sense so well that he keeps his head when a crisis comes. And that's the benefit of being built up and taking heed to the testimony of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. All right, which prepares you for a time of Jacob's trouble, which prepares you for to be persecuted, which prepares you to sacrifice and lose certain things on this side. To prepare you to be ready to pass a test that's going to come upon everybody that's upon this earth, to try you, to see if you got faith in the Lord or not. But people who don't entertain that, their thoughts are nowhere around that, they're not ready for what's about to come. So whenever these calamities and these crises and these hard times come, they're going to flee due to hasty decisions, and it's going to get them caught up. Like it says, those who flee in terror will fall into a trap, and those who escape the trap will be caught in a snare. Destruction. Well, let's stop right there. Those who escape the trap will be caught in a snare. What is that? Amos. Calamity after calamity. Amos 5:18 in the KJV real quick. It says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. And thinking about the day of the Lord, to make mention, the day of the Lord means the downfall of our enemies. Okay, their light is finna be put out. All right, then also it's gonna be a day of destruction. All right, the nuclear missiles are gonna destroy America and hit certain parts of the earth. The land of Israel is gonna be destroyed, but inhabited again. It has to be cleansed. But the day of the Lord is not how the Christian church preaches it to be. Even the end times, you know, it should be just peace and safety in the rapture. And those who believe should be saved, and no bad and trouble is going to come. That's a damn lie. Times are going to get worse, like we read earlier. And the day of the Lord is going to be a great death and judgment, in a great day for a remnant which will be delivered. But verse 19, going back to the point, just showing you there's no escape. It's going to be calamity after calamity. It says, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very darkness and no brightness in it? So that's how it's going to be. Let's go back to Isaiah. Isaiah 24. Let me get NLT. Isaiah 24 in verse 18 again. Those who flee in terror will fall into a trap, and those who escape the trap will be caught in a snare. It says, matter of fact, let me get one more. Sirach 5. Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and 7. It says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly, because it's not going to be like this forever. You know, being able to watch lessons, being able to read, being able to study, being able to be around like-minded men that fear the Lord, you know, that's not going to be accessible all the time. So it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. All right, this is the time to get built up. You know, everything we've learned, been taught, you know, it's for a reason. And, you know, we know what's coming, a great test to try our faith, to test us out, to see whether or not we actually have faith in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. All right. But a lot of people who don't value that as important as it is, they're gonna be in a worse position. All right. It says, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed. So whenever, you know, this judgment comes, and wherever you are in life, or wherever you are in your mind, to think you in a good state is going to be your destruction. You know, those who put off and you know, don't make a hasty move to turn back to the Lord, you know, who don't see the value of repenting, you know, having a repentative spirit, or don't see the value of learning about the Lord, learning about prophecy, learning about, you know, the conditions of this life, in the tests that are going to be a part of it, in the walk. You know, a lot of people who put that off, they're going to find out the hard way and perish in the day of vengeance. All right. Being cut off with who the Lord has target, you know, for destruction, dying with your enemy. That's not the way to go, man. That's a horrible way to go out to be an Israelite. But back in Isaiah 24, and I'm gonna close. But man, watching that video, it shows you these people, they feel it, but hey, guess what? At the end of the day, they're still enemies of Yahweh Shah. They can notice the times changing, but they just can't get down with the testimony of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shah. All right. But let me finish this. It says, continuing on in verse 18, the later end, it says, destruction falls like rain from the heavens. The foundations of the earth shake. And that's the missiles hitting this place, aka Babylon the Great, which is America. All right, because if you read up, it goes into the earth is going to be laid waste and mourneth and languisheth, if you're in the KJV. But it's talking about America. It's not talking about the entire planet Earth. All right, specifically this place has a set judgment and a target on its back where the Lord is going to, what's that word? Execute that judgment. Where this place is going to get hit by missiles. All these heathen coming, getting stirred up. That's not a coincidence, and it's not for just no reason, as if it's going to play out and die down and there's going to be peace on the earth. No, America's going to get destroyed, and then the peace is going to come on the earth whenever, whenever Yahweh Shah establishes righteousness on this earth. All right. But it says the earth. Hold up. It says the earth has broken up. It has utterly collapsed. It is violently shaken. The earth staggers like a drunk. It trembles like a tent in a storm. It falls and will not rise again, for the guilt of its rebellion is very heavy. And it's talking about America. All right. This place is going to get, devoured by nuclear missiles, which the earth actually is gonna be major earthquakes. The earth is gonna literally shake, due to the impact from those missiles. Let me go to 2nd Esdras real quick. This is coming. And for those who could notice the times change and feel the effect of, living, that's not for no reason. That's all a part of this place going down and the buildup for the destruction and the judgment that's coming to this place. All right. But in 2nd Esdras, the 2nd chapter, the 16th chapter, it goes into how this place is going to get hit with missiles. 2nd Esdras 16:12, it says, the earth quaketh in the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also, before the Lord and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss, when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Speaking about the missiles, that's what is going to make this earth quake and the foundations, shake. And they're going to be shot from other countries, from the ends of the world. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return away until they come upon the earth. So they're going to hit. Nuclear missiles, nuclear warfare is going to take place. And America is going to be destroyed in the midst of that. And it's a time, to get ready for what's about to come. As far as us, in this test that we got to face. But at the end of the day, seeing past and seeing through it to where we're trying to get, it should bring joy and peace, where our enemy is going to go down. Just like in the book of Tobit, where it said Tobias rejoiced after hearing about, the destruction of Nineveh. But yeah, that was it. Lord willing, I'll copy and paste that lesson in the comment section. But yeah, I pray this lesson was edifying to